This adventurous story begins with a girl named Stella, who is shown performing a ritual with her father Tom and her mother Dang. The entire village participates in this ritual, which includes a parade. This ritual is performed to awaken their ancient traditions and civilizations. It is believed that many years ago, there existed a ring that possessed unlimited powers and the ability to maintain peace. Whoever obtained this sacred ring would become incredibly powerful and gain such abilities that no one could defeat them. But over the years, many evil people tried to get their hands on the ring to misuse its power for their own selfish desires. The ring, however, chose its rightful owner on its own, and if it fell into the wrong hands, it would be destroyed. That's exactly what happened. The ring broke. But with the ring, a dangerous demon also emerged. This demon protected the ring and severely punished anyone who tried to misuse it. That's why, once every year, the villagers perform this ritual to ensure that the demon does not harm them and allows them to live in peace. Stella was witnessing all this for the first time. She moved ahead with her parents. We're shown that the villagers were placing meatballs there, which were made from different animals. This was done solely to please the demon, so that he wouldn't attack them. After the ritual was completed, a loud sound came from within the forest. Before the sound got closer, all the villagers hurried back to their homes. Stella couldn't understand where the sound was coming from. While she was in her room, she saw her father Tom heading toward the forest. She quietly started following him. Tom reached the same area where they had just completed the ritual. He clearly noticed that the meatballs they had offered were scattered throughout the forest, as if someone had tried to eat them. As Tom started to move forward, he heard some sounds from behind. When he looked back, he found his daughter Stella standing there. Seeing his daughter in such a dangerous forest scared him a lot. Tom explained to Stella that she couldn't go any further. Carefully, he hid her inside a shelter and gave her a walkie-talkie so she could call for help if needed. Leaving Stella safely behind, Tom continued ahead into the forest. He was following the lights and, after a short while, he reached the place where the ring was located, the same ancient ring that everyone had been talking about. On Tom's hand was something given to him by his father. Tom had a bracelet that he started showing near the ring. It was as if the ring was now coming closer to Tom. But just then, the dangerous demon appeared to protect it. Tom already knew about this, so he had come prepared with a gun in one hand. With the other hand, he kept firing at the demon to keep it at bay. As soon as the demon disappeared, Tom took the ring into his hands. Meanwhile, Stella suddenly began to feel scared for some reason, so she ran back toward her father. But shockingly, she couldn't find Tom anywhere. Suddenly, a bright light started glowing from within the ring, and several dead bodies began falling all around. These were the people who had lost their lives trying to obtain the ring through evil means. Now it seemed like Tom had also become one of them, possibly dead. Stella was so terrified by this that she hid inside the shelter and tried calling for help using the walkie-talkie. But with the dead bodies continuing to fall around her, her fear intensified, and she ran away. She knew she had to get out of the forest at any cost. She had already alerted the villagers for help, and now, she decided she would never get involved in anything like this again, especially because it had taken her father's life. She began to completely hate the ring and the forest. Years passed after that moment. Stella had now grown up. Recently, she had gone through a divorce. Even though she had completed her education and started doing quite well professionally, her boss at her workplace unjustly fired her. In short, Stella had lost her job. This left her deeply upset because now she wouldn't be able to pay her rent. She immediately went to her young daughter Valen. Stella decided they would spend the night somewhere else for now. But soon after, Stella found out that her mother was gravely ill. So she decided to visit her. She reached out to her cousin Stan for help, who booked her flight tickets. With Stan's help, Stella began her journey back home. After all these years, she was returning to that same village, and she felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. While traveling, Stella begins to recall her childhood, the moment when she had come running home from that forest. Back then, she had wanted to meet her father, Tom, but her uncle, named Dung, stopped her, telling her she shouldn't go back there. He said Tom was probably dead and would never return. But Stella was determined to find her father no matter what. In the present day, Stella arrives at her mother's place with her daughter, Valen. Her mother is in critical condition, suffering from a mysterious illness. Stella is with her mother, who insists that Tom is still alive and must be saved quickly, or he'll never return. Stella thinks that her mother must be seeing visions due to her illness, so she lets her rest and doesn't take her words seriously. It's revealed that Stella's uncle now wants to buy their old house, but Stella and her daughter decide to stay there until her mother gets better. Stella is deeply committed to caring for her. She then meets her cousin Kong, the son of her uncle. The most surprising thing to Stella is that Kong still looks the same age as he did when she was a child, handsome and unchanged. This puzzled her deeply. How was it biologically possible? She became curious to uncover the truth behind it. Stella then remembers how, as a child, she used to try communicating with her father over the radio. But back then, being too young and confused, she never responded properly. Now, using that same old radio device, she hears her father's voice. He is literally trying to communicate with her. Shocked, she rushes to her mother and demands to know the truth. Her mother reveals that Tom is trapped in an alternate dimension, one that's connected to the ancient ring. In order to reach him, Stella must find that ring again. But first, she'll need the ancient bracelet. After investigating, Stella and Stan discover that the bracelet is in her uncle's possession. Stella then approaches Kong and tries to convince him to give her the bracelet. At first, Kong refuses, but eventually he steals it from his father's house and brings it to her. With the bracelet in hand, Stella, Stan, and Kong set off into the forest. Before leaving, Stella locks her daughter Valen inside a car to keep her safe from any potential attacks. As the group moves deeper into the forest, they begin to see strange, massive circular patterns, formations too large and precise to have been made by any human. Suddenly, Valen calls Stella and says there's a woman standing outside the car. But Stella doesn't believe her and tells her to stay inside. In reality, we see a woman standing near the car. Within moments, Stella, Stan, and Kong spot the magical ring. As usual, it was floating in the air. Stella wore the bracelet and began summoning the ancient ring toward her. The ring formed a glowing circular structure and came directly onto Stella's hand. But suddenly, that same woman appeared from behind, and she began transforming into a terrifying demon. She was the protector of the ring, the guardian who had been there for centuries. Since Stella had now acquired the ring, she, along with Stan and Kong, tried to escape. But the demon creature had now taken its true, monstrous form and was charging toward them. Luckily, Kong had a gun. He quickly fired at the demon, which weakened it for a moment. However, the demon managed to injure Kong during the attack. Stella and Stan rushed to get Kong into the vehicle and started preparing to flee the scene. At the same time, Stella's uncle was arriving from the other side, clearly aware now of what Stella and the others were trying to do. For the time being, following Stan's lead, they drove to an abandoned military facility. They believed it would be a safe hiding place, but they were wrong, an attack was imminent. Once inside, the group took a moment to examine the ancient ring more closely. Kong quickly turned on the power supply in the facility, and to their surprise, they discovered a massive machine inside. They had no idea how the machine worked, but as Stella inspected it more carefully, she noticed a symbol resembling the bracelet, a clear sign that it needed to be inserted there. Stella immediately mounted the bracelet onto the machine. As soon as she did, strange sounds began coming from the radio nearby, and a holographic orb began to activate and move. Ultimately, it was revealed that the voice they were hearing was none other than Stella's father, Tom. He was trying to communicate with them from another dimension. Stella finally began to believe it. Her father wasn't dead. He was alive. Everything started making sense. When she was a child, her father had been trying to talk to her through the radio. Tom explained that when he used the magical ring, there had been a massive explosion. The radiation from it spread all around, and suddenly, he found himself transported to another dimension. Tom was now inside a spacecraft belonging to an advanced civilization, a futuristic world beyond anything he could have imagined. And even more mind-blowing, this was a dimension where 1 minute equaled 1 year on Earth. So while 30 years had passed on Earth, it had only felt like 30 minutes to Tom. Through the holographic communication, they learned that the machine in the military base was actually a portal, designed to travel through time and dimensions, into the future or the past. Using this machine, a person could travel anywhere in the blink of an eye, even faster than the speed of light. It was only because of this machine that such travel became possible. But during the last destruction, many of the stabilizing rings, which kept the system balanced, were scattered to different parts of the world. And until all those fragments were reunited, they wouldn't be able to bring Tom back. Stella had made up her mind, no matter what, she would save her father. All they had to do was locate and assemble the scattered pieces and complete the device. Kong and Stan agreed without hesitation. They were ready to help her. Using the existing ring, the trio transported themselves to a time in the past, where one of the fragments was located. This was an ancient era, when humans lived deep in the forests, surviving under extremely harsh conditions. As soon as they arrived, they noticed several pieces of the ring floating in the air. But just then, they saw a group of people running toward them from a distance. Later, they realized these weren't people, they were zombies. Everyone started running in the opposite direction to escape. Luckily, they reached a territory protected by the ring, a barrier zone created whenever the ring was used for teleportation. This ring-generated shield formed a safe radius around them, no one could enter from outside, and no one could leave from within. The zombies were all trapped outside the barrier, which saved their lives. Now Stella understood something important: wherever she traveled with the ring, the shield would automatically be created around her. However, to get the next fragment of the ring, they needed the trust of the local people who lived in that time. So they came forward in front of the tribe, offering food and supplies to win them over, giving them proper meals and basic necessities. But they were also aware that the zombies would eventually attack these innocent people. To hurry things up, Kong used the bracelet to control the massive floating ring and pulled a broken fragment toward it. With intense focus and effort, Kong managed to connect the piece to the ring. As soon as the fragment attached, the protective shield around them vanished. But that also gave the zombies their chance. Now free to enter, they stormed the village and started attacking everyone. The locals were hunted one by the zombie horde. Using all his energy to control the ring, Kong became extremely exhausted and collapsed. Seeing this, Stan immediately jumped in to help him. Now that they had secured one of the ring fragments, it was time to leave this place. Kong and Stan started calling out to Stella, urging her to return quickly. But Stella was in deep trouble. She and her daughter Valen were under attack by zombies. The horde had grown dangerously large and aggressive. Just when it looked like all hope was lost, a mysterious woman appeared and killed the zombies surrounding Stella, saving her life. But the undead were spreading everywhere, attacking the remaining villagers in massive waves. Kong and Stan shouted her name again. There was no more time. Stella grabbed her daughter's hand and ran toward the ring. At the last second, the trio teleported out, escaping into the present time. But the moment they materialized, Stella froze in shock. She hadn't brought Valen with her. Instead, she was holding the hand of a native child, one of the forest villagers. Somehow, in the panic and rush, she'd swapped her daughter with another child. Valen had been left behind, with the tribe, in the middle of a zombie outbreak. Stella was horrified. She wanted to go back immediately to save her daughter. But Stan and Kong tried to stop her. They reminded her that going back without the correct coordinates was nearly impossible and could risk her life. Stella broke down in tears. Seeing her in pain, Kong made a choice. He handed her the ring and gave her full access. "Do whatever you have to do," he said solemnly. Just then, Stella's uncle appeared out of nowhere, flanked by armed men. He pointed a gun at the group and demanded the ring. "You've misused this enough," he growled. "Give it to me. Now." Stella tried to reason with him. "We're not misusing anything. I'm just trying to bring my father back." But he didn't listen. He followed her outside where skeletons littered the ground, scattered around like reminders of the past destruction. Her uncle finally revealed the truth. "The moment you took that ring into another dimension, the demon guardian protecting it lost control. It was unleashed here, and destroyed everything in its path." Stella's voice trembled. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to bring my dad back." Her uncle raised the gun again, threatening to shoot her if she didn't hand it over. But Kong stepped between them, grabbing his uncle and trying to stop him. Meanwhile, Stella had begun activating the ring using the bracelet. The energy field started glowing. She was almost ready to teleport. But her uncle wouldn't give up. He kept attacking, wild, angry, relentless. Stan and Kong rushed to stop him. A struggle broke out. In the chaos, a gunshot rang out. And then, silence. Someone had been shot. But who? Just before the bullet could find its mark, Stella activated the ring, grabbing Stan and the boy as they teleported. They landed hard, in a different time, a far more ancient era, surrounded by menacing figures. Before they could even understand what was happening, a group of gangsters, rough-looking, armed to the teeth, surrounded them and knocked them both unconscious. When Stella and Stan regained consciousness, they found themselves tied up, inside what looked like a crumbling fortress or underground lair. The gangsters, who seemed to run the show in this time period, stood over them. One of the men stepped forward and spoke gruffly. "We know what that ring can do. We've seen its power. You're going to teach us how to use it." Stella was still groggy, but alert enough to catch the desperation in their voices. These men weren't just criminals, they were survivors. They explained that a massive monster had recently attacked the city. Entire nations had come together to fight it, combining their military forces and advanced weapons. Eventually, the beast was destroyed, but at a terrible cost. Now, fearing another attack, they wanted to use the ring to build a protective shield around the earth, something that could block any threat, be it a monster, an enemy army, or even natural disasters. Stella listened, but there was a problem. "I can't control the ring without the bracelet," she said. Gasps spread through the room. For a moment, all hope seemed lost. But then, one of the gangsters stepped forward, carrying a metallic case. He opened it slowly. Inside, nestled in foam padding, was Stella's bracelet. They had recovered it. Apparently, they had found it at the site where she had first arrived and had kept it safe, believing it to be important. With the bracelet finally back, Stella agreed to help, but only if they let her and Stan go after they were done. Together, they traveled to the same ancient military facility she had been to before. The massive dimensional machine still stood there, humming faintly with potential. The gangsters had tried to activate it before, but nothing had worked. Now, with Stella back and one more ring fragment in hand, she began the process of aligning the parts. Still, she knew. The ring won't fully activate until all its pieces are gathered and connected. And time was running out. Because far above the Earth, in the coldness of space, a black hole had opened. Through it, strange and terrible things began to pour, creatures, dinosaurs, and beings from beyond any known realm. They crashed down onto Earth, spreading chaos and destruction. The environment was collapsing. Civilization teetered on the brink of extinction. And the only way to stop it was to complete the ring and use the machine before everything was lost. In the present time, Kong and Stella's uncle were fighting with each other when Stella's uncle got shot. Before dying, he shared some important information with Kong. Stella's uncle told him that many years ago, when the military forces got hold of the ring, they experimented on how to teleport using it. For this, they captured several hostages and forcibly experimented on them. Stella's uncle was also one of those hostages. Along with him was a lady named Scene, who was being teleported one after the other. Stella's uncle didn't want any of this to happen, so he made a plan with Scene to get the bracelet and control the ring. Stella's uncle pretended to have a stomachache so that all the soldiers came toward him. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Scene took the bracelet and controlled the ring, activating it immediately and teleporting everyone into the Ice Age. All the soldiers were teleported too, and they started retaliating, but Stella's uncle kept attacking them with their own gun. During the whole process, Stella was severely injured, which made the ring weaken a bit, and it kept teleporting them to different places. One such place was where Stella and her friends had been before. Since the ring was completely weakened, when one part of it fell, a virus spread there, and due to this virus, in the present time, all of them started converting into zombies. Even the ring went completely out of control, causing an explosion. This whole process opened a different portal that spread on a large scale in the city. This black hole was the one the gangsters had been talking about, and they had no idea that the main reason for all this was Stella's uncle and Scene. After killing all the soldiers and returning to their own time, Stella's uncle, seeing Scene, noticed that she was heavily injured. So, he started transferring some of the ring's power into Scene's body. Scene started recovering, but her whole body began to transform into a creature. This was the same dangerous demon creature that protected the ring. It turned out that the dangerous creature wasn't a demon but the lady named Scene. All the truth had come out, which itself is a story. But how to fix all this is still uncertain. If you want to know more, we need to bring part 2 of this story. Our part 1 ends here.